Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Facade Ideas webinar series, and thank you for joining us. We've curated a series of webinars specifically for our facade industry audience, designed to enhance your professional career, and actually mine too. These webinars and the topics, actually, we select them. So these are sessions part of our How to Facade Ideas series, which tackles commonly overlooked but very crucial topics. And the whole thing started because my team used to get out for CPD because I used to invite people for CPD to train my team as at Claddum Design. And we thought, why not share this knowledge to the greater audience? And it only took, a small idea to bring Facade Ideas, not podcast, but webinar series started. So today we're diving into how to design a brick slip facade. I'm really excited about this one because we are working on multiple projects in the UK in the construction market, new and recladding as well. And we're using brick slips a lot on our projects, and we thought, this would be great. And for this, we brought in Ray from Ibstock to share the knowledge. So give me 1 minute. I'm just going to bring Ray in the room. So here you go. Yes. Hi, Ray. How are you?
Hi, Hasafa. I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong, but Ibstock are the largest brick manufacturers in the UK by volume. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, Hasafa, it is.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
All right. So Ray is a design advisor at Ibstock. And since earning her architectural technology and innovation degree nearly 20 years ago, Ray has primarily worked as an architecture technician for an award-winning architecture practice based in the Midlands. Ray joined Ibstock as a CAD technician about 7.5 years ago and later progressed to the role of a design advisor, which is brilliant. Thank you for joining us. Over the past years, Ray has contributed to the evolution of both her role and the design advisory team, bringing new facade systems and topics to the forefront while upholding the core missions of providing design and technical knowledge advice to architectural community within the practice. All right, brilliant. It's great to have you, and thank you for joining us. Seriously, I saw the presentation. No, but I've said this multiple of times that I've seen the presentation. We had a run through, and I think it gives so much value. And you won't you won't know, but I haven't said this before, but from the presentation we looked at yesterday, I actually took so many things that I have to go back and apply on my projects, which are currently running. So it's really good, just to let you know.
Bigging me up there, Hasafa. Thank you.
I'm not
Expectation is high.
no, it's not, but it's a really good value what you've brought up on the table, and really
Thank
thanks for that. And yeah, if you can share your screen. Oh, sorry. Let's
you.
first play the video, which is really good video. This video tells you a bit of manufacturing and the innovation the factories are doing at Ibstock as well. It's magnificent. So I'm just going to play the video and shut myself.
So the plant that we're commissioning behind us here is the first stage in the evolution of brick slip production here at Nostell. At Ibstock we believe in enabling the full potential of MMC, and the products that we're producing out of the plant here will allow us to provide components within wider facade systems and allow us to help productivity on site and really boost the ability for house building in the UK.
There's a real drive in the UK for local authorities to improve the thermal performance of the existing housing stock. The way that they're looking at doing that is by installing external wall insulation products. The brick slip products that we'll manufacture at Nostell are a key solution into that sector.
It's important for Ibstock Futures and Ibstock in general to really connect with what our customers want. One of the ways that we've done this is to use the continuous improvement tools early and to engage both broadly and with depth so that we can understand how this evolution of technology affects every single functional area.
The technology that's going into this particular plant enables us to give customers a better degree of choice, further capacity, shorter lead times and high tolerance, which is essential.
At Ibstock we have the widest range of bricks, and that means at Nostell we will have the widest possible range of brick slips.
That's absolutely brilliant. It looks like robots are making all those bricks, and the factory is automated. Looks like it. It looks really cool.
It is. It's fully automated. We have another factory that is fully automated as well, and we're looking at rolling that out throughout our entire stock of
Wow.
factories across the UK.
Wow. All right, I'll leave you to it. So yeah. All right.
Thank you very much, Zephyr. Please join in when you feel free to ask
Will do.
questions.
Thanks.
Thank you
And
so much.
also for
Oh.
the audience, I'll just say, I'm sorry, if you have any questions, please put in the chat. We will have a Q&A session at the end, but if I see any questions of yours, I can fit in between as well, and it might be comfortable to put that in between the discussion. I'll put that in as well. Thank you very much, everyone.
Lovely. Thank you, Josefa. So yes, as Josefa said, my name is Ray Hughes and I work for Ibstock as a design advisor. And today I'm going to talk about how to design a brick slip facade. So I'm just going to cover off what I'm going to talk about very quickly. So the journey of brick slips, so where they've come from a manufacturing perspective, why do we need brick slip facade solutions, and some of the innovative product solutions that we offer here at Ibstock, with a very quick summary, and then, like Josefa said, quick Q&A at the end, which I'm sure we'll both be contributing to. So, who are we? Who are Ibstock? We are a brick manufacturing company that is the largest by volume and quite old too. So we're over 200 years old, with a leading manufacturer of clay and concrete products. So over the last 200 years, we've accumulated further businesses and extensively extended our portfolio of products to incorporate both clay and concrete products in the housing, commercial, rail and infrastructure sectors. We have 38 factories across the UK which contribute towards those clay and concrete productions, and we also have a factory that is dedicated to our future cladding systems. So I'm just going to quickly step back into the evolution of facades and where it really did all start. So bricks have always been used as a building material for thousands of years, with evidence dating back to ancient civilizations. The earliest known bricks were made from mud or clay, and they were simply dried in the sun. Fast forward to 4000 BC, and we saw the use of fired or kiln-baked bricks. The sizes and the dimensions were predominantly still the same. Moving on to the 12th century, we see an alternative portfolio of brick slip shapes and bonding patterns as well. So you can see that on the example on the screen, where they've got these slimmer profiles and they've got some sort of herringbone type pattern. So the evolution of brickwork was coming about throughout these ages. But regardless of time, the constant component in all of these images is brick. The manufacturing and the firing processes have adapted over time, as have the dimensions of the brick. If you're in the UK, you'll probably be very well aware of the UK metric size brick. But ultimately, bricks have stood the test of time. They have evolved and they are continuing to do so. But why do we need a brick-faced facade systems? Well, this is a good example of some of the projects that we've been involved in. So projects in Wolverhampton, in Leeds and in Manchester. And the photograph that you can see from Manchester is a really good example of the combination of a modern facade system that stood right next to or just behind a traditional Victorian brickwork building. And the evolution into more modern methods of construction using brickwork facades is mainly due to the fact that our footprints of our buildings, they're getting smaller, but that means that we're building higher. And to be able to use brick as a material, as an external facade material, we need to look at new ways of being able to develop the systems. I'm sure as well for anyone who's in the UK, so I know that we've got a global audience at the moment, but for those in the UK, must be very, very well aware of the devastating events which happened at Grenfell Tower in London in 2017. This had a real detrimental effect on the construction industry within the UK, and it saw the largest overhaul of our legislative system that we've seen in a long time, particularly to Approved Document B, fire safety, which saw that external cladding materials in England, Northern Ireland, Wales and Scotland, for those built over 11 metres, there need to be of limited combustibility and a minimum requirement of A2S1 D0 or better than that. But it's not just about looking at fire, although it's a very important subject. We also need to adapt to these more modern methods of construction and challenges that we have. Like I've just said, we have smaller footprints, so we're building higher. So how can we meet those modern challenges? We need to adapt and change to industry challenges where MMC or modern methods of construction are becoming the norm. Solutions of modular, volumetric and panelised systems are taking design and construction to new levels, and we need to meet those demands. Buildings are taking up less footprint and going higher than ever, so our portfolio of products and what we can offer to architects and specifiers need to adapt to see these new developments through. So we're looking at enabling brick slip systems, but what are we doing about it as well? So as a company, we have invested in the Nostell factory, and you've just seen the video that highlighted this particular factory where we manufacture brick slips. There was a total investment from our company of over £50 million, and we currently have from that factory 4 products which are certified as 50% less carbon than their predecessors at the same factory. And our aim is to produce the first UK net zero carbon slip from this factory too. The factory will have an automated cutting service, which means we will provide brick slips solely for systems, and one of the unique features that we will also offer from this factory is we will utilise digital decorational technology to achieve a wider range of bespoke finishes, and that is giving you as architects and specifiers much more breadth of choice when it comes to designing your buildings. So I've just put up a selection, and this is by no means exhausted, of the slips that we can offer. And I just want to say that slips are used for a wide range of applications, from EWI systems right the way through to GRC to brick and rail products. And I will say that one-size slips do not fit all. Slips need to be manufactured correctly to pair with the appropriate system, and that's where we come in our knowledge about how and which slip we need to provide to be able to be suitable and safely supplied for a particular system. So I'm going to talk first about the Nexus soffit system, and the reason why I picked this to go first is because traditionally we think about slip systems as an elevational treatment, but we actually supply slips as a soffit system too. So I'm just going to briefly go over this. So you can see there an example of the 2 types of systems, soffit systems that we offer and that would be available to you. So we have the load-bearing lintel soffits. These are mechanically fixed, so therefore comply with UK building regulations for external materials over 11 metres. Everyone probably on this call obviously knows about what a lintel is and its load bearing, so I'm going to talk a bit more closely about underslung and non-load bearing units and how these can be offered as a solution. So we can see here the Nexus XI underslung, which is the offering that we have from Ibstock for a soffit system. You can see that there is a stainless steel tray and there is a brick slip that is supplied with that tray. And you can see that there are several fixing points to that tray. The soffit system itself is supported from what we'd call a masonry support system, and that is the bracket and angle system that you can see. The bracket and angle system is then fixed back to the primary structure, and that takes the load of these particular units. It's a fully mechanically fixed system, which is why it complies with all the legislative changes in the UK, and it consists of a front tab. There is a slotted nut that is supplied to every mortar joint point within the design, so this can vary depending on the bond pattern that is specified for the units. And there is also a rear clip to the back. So there's 3 mechanical fixing points which make sure that this is a mechanically fixed system that is safe and secure for supply on external cladding systems. There's an example here. So we use this typically for traditional built buildings. So you can see for the example we've got here is concrete frame building with a cast-in channel, but it can be used with steel, SFS, and it's fixed back to the structure, the main primary structure. So you can see there, you've got the tray, which has been pre-manufactured in the factory with the brick slips, fully connected and supported to that tray, and then it is manually offered up to the masonry support. The trays that we design are typically around just under 900 millimeters long, so fairly lightweight in terms of a solution as well. So they're simply offered up to the masonry support and lined and leveled. And this is a really effective way of producing what we would call floating brickwork for long spans of openings. We can also provide, so you can see the example here, we've got it 215 deep. We can also provide that in various depths as well. So if you've got a very, very deep soffit, so in a grand entrance way, you can provide a brickwork finish to the whole underside of that using this particular system. Just got a very quick completed project. This is Beach Street in London. If anyone knows the artist Damien Hirst, this is actually his headquarters. It was a very bespoke designed project which used a very unique glazed brick. So it's beautiful blue, turquoise, greeny coloured brick, very specific to this project. And we utilised the Nexus system alongside this glazed product. It was traditionally built with the Nexus units, these double soffit Nexus units, and we also provided specials for this particular project as well. So it's just a really inspiring project on how we can utilise that particular system. So moving on to precast units, again, we can use these in both soffit and elevational treatments. So it's a solution that's fairly simple. It's been around for a long time, but it offers great flexibility. So you can see here, we've got this precast arch, which has a brick face soffit finish. Typically, precast is a load-bearing element, so you can see there from the little diagram. Putting that into real terms, you can see the soffit units that we've supplied for this particular project in Liverpool. You can see that it's a very deep soffitted arch. It's got a sort of tracked, stack bonded brickwork that's been pre-manufactured in the factory, and then it's been delivered as one whole unit to site. As part of my work, we have to undergo providing solutions for all manner of things, and that does include installation as well. So with this particular project, we couldn't install those particular arches from above using a crane, so we designed this former that would help and assist in installing those quite heavy arches from the ground and bringing them in safely and securely. We don't just supply arches with these, though. We can do elevational treatments that can span from floor to floor as well. So it gives us a lot of flexibility to use this system. So just an example here. This is a good example of a precast system. So I've just said that it's load bearing, but it doesn't always need to be. Again, it's about providing solutions to you. So we've got an example here where we've utilized the Nexus system, but because the soffits were curved, it was difficult to manufacture that in steel. So we actually used a precast solution and then fixed those back to masonry support. So you can see we created these really beautiful curved soffits with these lovely long linear bricks, and that was continued up throughout the building. So you can just see that we can offer different solutions. So if you've got a project or a design and you think, oh, that isn't quite capable of that, there's usually a solution that we can all come up with.
Looks brilliant.
Thank you.
It's really great. Yeah.
It was beautiful. So in London, that is. So if anyone would love to go and see it, it's in Clerkenwell.
And bricks go right, just like the glass curved glass as well, and it just matches together.
Absolutely, it's beautiful design, a very well thought out design building. So although they were used as an underslung unit, typically we would use precast as a a load-bearing element, but it can be quite heavy, as people know. So we offer a lighter weight solution in brick-faced GRC.
Mm-hmm.
So GRC is glass reinforced concrete, and it is a mix of so a combination of glass fibers that they're cut to the correct length, and they're added to a mixture of ordinary Portland cement, silica sand, and polymers, and the percentage of those does vary in the grading that's required. Typically, we provide, so the grading is from 8 to 18p, and all of our products are the strongest, most flexible product that we can offer. What this does, this mix, it's a very free-flowing material, and this allows great flexibility when you're using a GRC as a specified product for your project. So you can see here, I'm just going to quickly go through the process of how we would manufacture a product in GRC. So we would manufacture the mold, and this particular product is very useful when it comes to repetitive, similar sized elements. So floor to floor spans, perfect. You could change the width of them because we would build the mold, as you can see there, to the largest size, and then we would fill them off to be able to create the additional sizes that are required. You can see there as well in that mold, Josefa, that we've got quite a complex geometry in there. So the mold that you can see there is actually for a plain face GRC, so without the brick, but it just goes to show the geometry that we can utilize with a GRC product. The photograph on the left, that shows a brick face GRC, which is obviously what we're here to talk about today, is brick slips and how we utilize them with different products and systems. So we've made the mold in exactly the same way, and we've placed those slips face down into that mold, and you can see there that we've got some sort of groove in the back of all those slips. And as I've said, a slip is not just a slip, and you cannot use the same slip for every product. So there's a particular notching that we use for this product, and that allows the GRC to then flood into that and tightly secure it into place. But in addition to that, for extra security, we have this metal pin that also attaches itself to the GRC mixture. And you can see there we can also do returns on this particular product too.
Right, and to design something like this, because these days the key is collaboration, isn't it? So it's
Absolutely.
making sure exactly, so making sure the GRC company who's providing the mold and all those design are all fully coordinated with regards to all these different requirements for the ribs, for the bricks that you've got, the limitations of the brick size, and all those kind of things. So the key is collaborating and bringing all that design, overlaying each other, and also the structure calculations as well, because it then the ribs calculations and what's being transferred just comes together, doesn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. From our perspective as a manufacturer of this, we work very, very closely with the architect or the specifier to ensure it meets all the design and calculated requirements for the individual project. This is designed specifically for a project. It's not an off-the-peg solution.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, as Josefa says, there are what we call thickening ribs to the edge of this panel. So you can see it being sprayed on. It's sprayed over either the mold if it's plain faced, or if it's brick faced, over those bricks, those brick slips. And we create those thickening ribs. And where they are located is typically around the perimeter of each of the panels, but also where we designed and calculated the requirements are. You just see in the top there where we've got a photograph of where someone is using the brick slips or placing them into a curved component, and it's an excellent product for more curved or complex geometry, for providing the aesthetic that the architect is looking for. So how we would hang that, it would obviously depend on the primary structure and where we will position those, but typically it's a bracket and rail system, a very strong, thick bracket and rail system in opposed to some of the other systems, granted, but it is simply put into place as large panels as well. So very useful for tight sites, as most brick slip facade systems are, and we don't really need to use cranes with this particular system, so we can use spider cranes. We can perhaps look at a solution of lifting off the ground as well, so fairly easily system to install.
That's it. A quick advice that I'll give to the audience is when you're always looking at systems which are heavy, similar to like precast or something, face brick, GRC, just make sure you've asked the structure engineer for the movement and tolerance report, because once you've hung that in, the structure might be moving in a different way and your brackets need to allow for those movements and tolerances. Sorry. Thank you.
No, please contribute. It's brilliant. So just a quick example of a completed project that we have. So BCU, Birmingham City University in Birmingham, obviously. So the challenge we had here was there was lots of different features and what was the correct product to meet the demands of all the features that were required. So we had those piers that span from floor to floor. We had those very deep soffit panels. And then we had the projecting brickwork in the recessed panels as well. So GRC met the requirements perfectly for that because it was a very uniform design right the way across the elevation. So for economies of scale, repetitive detailing is key for GRC, but it does lend itself to very beautiful, complex building. So I'm going to mainly focus on bracket and rail systems, and particularly for the system that we offer, which is MechSlip system, which, as you said, Josefa, you've had a lot of input and knowledge of in your own project. So you're using the MechSlip system yourself. So
Yeah.
this is the one that I'm going to mainly talk about today in quite in depth, because it does represent the typical installation of a brick facade system in the UK particularly.
And the market is increasing as U values are getting stringent and all those kind of things. Yeah.
Absolutely. We've seen it as such an upturn lately for particularly the MechSlip system, but there are other systems available. But yes, so we'll just quickly delve into this. So it is a rain screen cladding system. So it is a ventilated and drained rain screen cladding system. So it's important that you're aware of that. Although it's a brick slip, it should still be treated in the same way as a rain screen cladding system should be designed and installed. So it consists of a series of brackets and rails. From those, we would apply what we call our brick carrier rails. And then we would input our specifically designed MechSlip brick slips. This particular system is aluminium, but we can offer it as a stainless steel components too, depending on the location and the requirements. So when we're looking at support structures under our BBA accreditation, there are quite a few number of primary support structures that we can apply this system to, and that's why a bracket and rail system lends itself very well for a brick face facade. It can typically be supported by nearly all primary structures. The other useful part of or a useful factor that a brick-faced facade system can have is that it doesn't have to be used just in new building designs. It lends itself very well to regeneration projects, so you can overclad an existing structure, and that's why a brick-faced facade system using brackets and rails is particularly useful. We do have a timber frame on there. We can apply this to timber frame, but we do need to look at different detailing requirements because timber doesn't move in exactly the same way as the systems would. So very specific in terms of its detailing, but again, it's all about collaboration, talking, understanding between the architects and the suppliers. So just going to delve into this a little bit more closely. Typically you would have a range of brackets. So you can see we have both double and single brackets there up on the screen. The system, the MechSlip system itself will range from a 45mm cavity right the way up to 335mm. The double and single brackets, as Josefa said, a lot of these systems are designed and calculated specifically for project requirements, but typically we'd work on a ratio of 3:1 single to double brackets per metre square. Depending on wind or load calculations, though, we may need to reduce those centres, say at a parapet level where we've got higher winds. We may need to reduce those down to about 450 centres, but typically we'd work on 600 centres for those brackets, which will lend itself very good to SFS systems.
It does. And one thing that just in this as a system, we talked about brackets, double brackets, single brackets, like you can see on the screen, and the vertical rail. So each rail would have at least one double bracket, which would be the fixed point, and then all the rest single brackets could be, divided between that span. That span calculation and all those things would be specific to the project, just like Ray said, and that would come from the bracket team or the supplier, or you could do your in-house calculations and verify with the supplier as well. So work as a collaboration when you're designing these kind of systems. Always go to and fro with the supplier and the team. It just makes sure that the project has residual less risks. Yeah.
We always need to work towards less risks for sure.
Yes.
So attached to those brackets, we would have typically either an L rail or a T rail. With the Brick Slip system, we tend to lean towards the L rail, just because it's sufficient enough to hold the brick rail carriers in position. So the brick rail carriers that we have, they are again made of aluminium, as are all the components, and they have an anodized protective layer. And we would start off with a starter rail. So it's very simple. We start it at the first course of bricks, or indeed, if we have window or door openings, we would obviously put a starter rail there to take again that first course of brickwork. We then have an intermediate rail, and this supports the majority of the brickwork. And typically it's set at 75 millimeters because that works with our UK metric sizing of 65 millimeters high plus 10 mil mortar joints. But the beauty of this particular system is that it is adaptable to either shorter height bricks or indeed imperial size bricks up to around 78 millimeters. And then we finish off that run of brickwork with an end panel, or where we have sills, so we have a finishing rail as well. So together these will form the panels on the elevations. But what if you don't want horizontal brickwork and you actually want some soldier course or some vertical stretcher coursing? We've thought about that too, as are probably most systems too. But so you can see there we've got the typical standard system where we've had those supporting L rails vertically. But what we have identified is if we use this horizontal clip and we place that onto the brackets, that allows those rails to rotate by 90 degrees. And then what we can do there is affix our brick carrier rails vertically rather than horizontally, and that allows us to then use the brick slips in a vertical format. But what if you want more than a 335 deep cavity zone, because you may, for insulation reasons, need more, and obviously with the more stringent U values that were required by building regulations in the UK, we're seeing that more and more. So we obviously go to quite a depth, but if we cannot accommodate that and we need to go into a deeper cavity, we use a series of top hats, and you can see the two examples that we offer there. So you would need to check that the top hats will be sufficiently designed to take the double and the single brackets, as you can see there in the example. This allows us to then extend and deepen that cavity further while sufficiently remaining safe with the system. And again, I was talking about where you've got parapets and where we look at static or wind load calculations that mean we need to reduce our rails and brackets down. We would use the top hats to align these down, and then you can place those brackets and those rails at any requirement that you need. So we think really closely about how it's designed and make sure it's safely designed. Similarly, you may not need such a deep cavity. You may need, so for example, where you don't need insulation, so around piers, or if you've got a brick-faced balcony across the elevation, we can decrease the cavity and emit that insulated area using these Z or Omega rails, and typically then we can affix the brick slip carrier rails directly to those.
I was recently on a project where those sandwich panels, insulated sandwich panel was used. So because the sandwich panel was already achieving the U value, so we use these omega channels to run the horizontal rails. So I can imagine what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So again, it's just about what is the design requirement and how can we support that. So again, if those U values are already being met, we can look at how we can reduce that zone. So the brick slips themselves, so these are specifically cut and designed for the mech slip system. So you can see there, we do cut from a standard brick, as you can see in that example there, but we are obviously, as you've seen extensively with our new factory up at Nostal, we are looking at providing these as a brick slip format as well. But because we can cut from any brick, it means that we can offer a huge range of colours and textures and finishes across this particular panel system. So you can see there how it's installed as a typical section. We would cut that slip, and then you can see the side view section there. We provide these groove points, which allows it to be the brick slip to be accepted into the rails and fit secure. The brick slips that we offer are 28mm thick typically, but if you've got any design detailing which incorporates projecting brickwork detailing, we can cut the slips up to 48mm thick. And you can see there we offer a stretcher and a header, so you can accommodate different bond patterns, so English or Flemish bond. And then we have corner returns as well. These are used on the building envelope itself, but we can also use those as jambs and soffits. And you see there we've got a corner soldier, and that's because if we're going into soldier coursing or vertical brickwork, we need a specific special to be able to accommodate any returns in that particular area. And then we have our brick spacers as well, which I know Josefa is very keen to show you in person. So he has a live version of our brick spacer there. And that is twofold. It allows for the traditional 10mm perpendicular joint that you would have in traditional masonry, but it also provides a backer for the mortar to be pointed into place. So it's very a very useful product. You can see there we've got a curved one as well, and that's where we would look at if we've got soffit designs. We would use that because it provides that extra security when we're looking at very shallow soffits into window jambs, which I think, yeah, I think I've got a little example of that as we move on.
Okay.
So we've thought about other areas of design and build and the UK building regulation as well. So meeting the demands of Part F, as I've just said, our building regulations are becoming tighter and tighter as we move towards a net carbon zero future. But we do need ventilation. So we offer a series of brick slips, which can be used as a vent brick slip. These are water jet cut, and they can be matching to the specified brickwork. So they will look exactly the same, but they'll be able to offer that ventilation that's required under our UK building regulations. We also offer an aluminium vent slip, which will offer that full minimum 5,000mm per square per metre that you may require. And also, if you are looking to support lights or signage outside of your buildings, we offer this aluminium extruded slip so that you'll be able to fix directly back to that. But again, I will say collaboration. It will take a lighting or small signage, but again, if you're looking at something heavier, we need to fix back to the main structure. It's all about talking to your supplier and collaborating to understand the principles of the cladding system that you're specifying. If you were designing the building using traditional clay masonry products, i.e. bricks, you would have to take into account movement, as you do with all construction materials anyway, but it's particularly predominant with clay masonry products. And using a cladding system is absolutely no different. So we provide a movement joint, and what we would do is we would put those brackets in fairly closely together, usually around about 150, 160 away from the edge of the brick carrier rail. We then break that rail to provide the 10mm gap for the mortar joint, or however wide that gap is to be calculated, but typically 10mm. And then, just as we would with traditional masonry, we would supply that with a compressible filler and a sealant to the front too. Typically, we would look at around about 6-meter centres with cladding movement joints on a brick-faced cladding system. However, it does very much depend on what the primary structure as well is. So that is the primary structure, and the movement of the primary structure will take precedent over the clay masonry if that requires more movement joints than the 6-meter centres. Similarly, when we come into horizontal movement joints, it's exactly the same. So we would supply those, we would break the rails with that 10mm. Same thing applies where we've got a starter and an end rail, because we're stopping and starting that panel of brickwork, and we would supply that with a compressible filler and sealant to the front, just as we would with traditional masonry. And this allows the thermal movement and expansion and contraction of the clay masonry product. When it comes to the design, as designers and specifiers, there's a wide range of design opportunities when it comes to brick-faced cladding systems. So you can see some of the examples there. By no means is that exhaustive of what you can achieve with a brick-faced cladding system. So we've got a standard stretcher. We've got an example of Flemish bond there, which utilises both the stretchers and the headers that I showed you earlier. Stack bonded as well, very useful if you want to specify a project or a building that has a lot of stack bonded elements. A brick-faced cladding system is particularly useful. If you were going to build that traditionally, you would need to use bed joint reinforcement. You may need extra wall ties because there's no triangulation of the loading. It's a very weak structure. So we would need those extra ancillary items to be specified to ensure that the wall was maintained. If you're using
Just
a
a
brick,
quick question. Sorry.
that's all.
Sorry.
I was in mid-flow. Go on,
So
Mustafa.
just quick. So could we cut these? So if we were using the English bond, because
Yeah.
you need the queen brick in the middle. So
Yeah.
would you make that queen brick and make sure you can adjust them on site with cutting the brick? And is that okay?
Yes, we would be able to take that down to, it's not a standard, so what you saw before was the standard sizes that we would offer, but we can cut the slips obviously within the normal parameters of brickwork, which a
Yeah.
queen closer would be, so it's a quarter size brick. Yes,
Yes.
we will be able to cut and offer that. What I will say is that with this particular system or with other cladding systems, you would have to cut the brick at certain locations to ensure the grooves were sufficient to be held in place for the
Understood.
system. So again, if you've got a quarter closer, so you've got an English or Flemish bond where we need that, it's again collaborating to understand the principles of it, so that we can ensure those bricks are properly cut and grooved.
Okay, and I wanted to just let the audience know. So what we're actually, in principle, what we're looking at is a rain screen facade system where you have a cavity behind. So you don't have the normal, the drainage slots in the brickwork that lets the water out, the drainage tray and all those kind of things. What this is that you've got a cavity behind which lets the water out at the bottom and lets drain out. So just to keep that in mind, we're talking about a rain screen system right here. And we, have that knowledge. And if you want to have a bit of knowledge about the rain screen system, recently on LinkedIn, what Façade Ideas did, we put a short course, like a one-pager, what rain screen facade is, and you can click to the next page, and it gives you a quiz as well. And you can fill up the quiz and see how much you've understood the rain screen facades within the UK or around the world. Same principles would apply. Yes, I just wanted to bring this to attention that we're looking at a range screen facade system. Yeah.
That's fine, thank you. So yeah, you can see a range. We've got projecting brickwork. We can also use profile bricks, as you can see there. And like I said, it's very good at rotating from horizontal to vertical. Oh, I'm not going anywhere at the minute. Excuse me 1 minute. There we go.
Click
So
should do
just
the
some
magic.
examples of design detailing that we offer. So again, this is about utilizing the system. So here we offer jam, soffit and sill details using a flashing, but we can also offer it as a brick-faced finish as well. So brick-faced soffit and jam detailing there. And again, the profiling and the collaboration on how we understand the principles of that is key. So I just want you to emphasize the wide range of products that we can offer with our particular system. So over 300 different brick types across our range. We can also offer different size bricks and obviously glazed bricks as well. So we can typically utilize the majority of the bricks products that we offer. Mortar is very, very important when it comes to brickwork, and the colour of mortar and the profiling can change traditional brickwork quite significantly. And so it's really important that we think about it when it comes to brick slip cladding systems as well. The mortar that we use with these systems is a lime-based mortar. And why we use that is because it allows not only for it to be gun injected, like you can see there on the screen, but it also allows moisture to come out. So just as Zephyr said, you wouldn't use the typical weak joint sort of cavity tray detailing, but it will allow some moisture to be removed through the mortar itself. So I'm quickly going to run through the installation. So brackets, the mechanically fixed brackets and the vertical support rails are typically set at 600 centres. The rails are fixed across those from the starter, the intermediate and the top rails. And the way that we would quickly do that is we offer what we call a gauging tool, which is set at 75 millimeters, which is fixed to those vertical rails, and then it is slotted through. Those brick carrier rails can be slotted through very, very quickly. From there, we affix the Mech-Slip brick tiles. So what we would do is use those grooves to engage at the uppermost rail and then click it into place and drop it down so it engages with the bottom rail. We continue to do this, and we use those spacers that Josefa's kindly showcased for us to ensure that the mortar doesn't engage at the back of the cavity, and we maintain that 10 millimeter per pen joint. We continue that all the way through along the elevation and on the returns, and then we point it using the easy point lime-based mortar.
There's a full scale sample that I also had. I think I told you. And what I was just doing it was playing around with different full size, half size brick, what patterns we can build in. I wish I had it today, but unfortunately, I didn't go to the showroom this weekend, so I couldn't bring it.
I do normally take it when I go to practices as well, so they can have a little play around with it. So the system's fully accredited, so fully tested and certified under CWCT, tested at Lucidian, and also at Warrington for reaction to fire as well. And we have an A1 rated classification for this particular system. I will say when you're specifying brick face cladding systems, or any system for that matter, especially in the UK, please do check the classification that you have, particularly for fire, but also ensure that it is certified and accredited. Because it's a brick face system, we also test our bricks under a freeze thaw test, which is under British standard EN 772, and we have to classify all of those bricks to F2, which stands for frost resistance classification 2, and that comes under British standard EN 771. The system itself as well is BBA accredited, so again, look for BBA accreditation. There is a QR code there at the top of the screen if anybody does want to go directly to that BBA accreditation. So yeah, just ensure that, do the double check-in, understand what has been tested and how it's been tested and what standards it's been tested to when you're specifying any product, not just brick face cladding systems. So a quick overview, we use natural clay slips, it's A1 fire rated, we have full testing for it. The suitability is it allows for faster installation. It's a lightweight system, and it's not weather dependent as well. So other than the pointing, which we have to do above 3 degrees in the UK, we can install those bricks slips at any time of the year. So a similar system that we have is the GemBrick system, and this is just to showcase that there are different systems available. So again, similar in use of its double and single brackets in exactly the same format, only for this particular system, the cavity size goes up to 240 millimeters. We use the T-rail for this particular system, as you can see there in the photograph. And the reason for that is because it uses a flat-backed 3-course tray to accept the brick slips. So you can see there it's not the same as the mech slip, but we use it as a 3-course. But you don't have to build your buildings in multiples of 3. We do offer a single track course as well to accept the slips, so we can obviously have different dimensions. You can see there the profile of the slips. So the difference with these is that these brick slips that are accepted on this particular system are extruded clay tile slips. So they're extruded in exactly the same profile that you can see there. And how these are installed is a little bit different too. So what they do is the bottom of the slip is engaged with that bottom track, and then they are malleted in place, so they're kind of punched into place, and they have a little sacrificial ledge that ensures this is very tightly and snugly mechanically fixed into position. You can see there we've got corner profiles, but these are generally used for the building envelope itself, and typically where we have window jambs or soffits, we would only use that flashing detail. So again, check out all the detailing of the system that you're proposing to look at. So just a quick overview of this. It's very similar to the mech slip system in terms of its installation and its weight. So again, most of the systems will offer very much the similar, can't think of the word, sorry, very similar in terms of what they have, but there will be subtle design differences, and I think that's where you need to look. Check on the testing, check on the design, and make sure that the actual system that you want does what you need it to do. So very quick summary. So I have put this together. It does cover other product systems as well, because this is what I use for my everyday. So it covers traditional brickwork, which I also work with, and it also covers the mech slip, the gem bricks, and the brick face GRC that I've discussed today. We also offer a stone solution, and that's why they're on there. But it's a very quick overview of the suitability of each product and what its different requirements are. And that's why I can't emphasize enough, just check that it does what you need it to do for your specific projects. And I also cannot emphasize enough how early engagement is critical. So design and technical advice, particularly for our systems, we have a whole suite of design and technical people at Ibstock. We also collaborate with Ancon Leviat and Ashen Lacey, who also support us with our systems. So there's a wealth of knowledge and technical ability available to you. We want you to use that. And early collaboration, I can't emphasize enough how important this is. So don't get us involved at stage 4, get us involved as early as possible. That way we can not only help with economies of scale, the right solution for your project, but also if sustainability is a key factor in your deliverables, we can also look at that in terms of the system that we offer you. Lastly, I've just been told to say that we also have a studio down in London in Hatton Gardens, where you're more than welcome to come if you're in the UK or London based, to come and talk to us or have a CPD with us or come and look at the range of products that we have to offer. And then in the Midlands, we have where we manufacture our cladding systems, and you're more than welcome to come around and look at how we manufacture our products and understand them a bit better. So I just want to say thank you, and I know we don't have much time for questions, but I'm happy to take them with Josefa.
So I'll ask the first question, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
So it's really, thank you for sharing all this knowledge. It's so many systems together, and if you go to the market, there are many systems out there, right? And Brick Slip is one of the best that I've worked with because it gives you that flexibility, and the brick orders are very, the forms to order things. Everything's very organized, if you get what I mean. And all the information that I get from the CAD files as well, for the support, and we've got support from Ash and Lacey and yourself, and it just brings everyone together in that collaborative approach that we send. So how often do you is how often do you think that people I think I'll reiterate my question, or rephrase it, sorry. What it is many times we get a project where we have the system, but the cavity has been calculated with from the architect and the facade consultants, but not the brackets in mind with the psi values and everything. So many times we tend to go to stainless steel solutions and stuff like that. And do you have all these brackets in stainless steel as well? And could we use those options as well?
Yes, we do. With the Brick Slip system, yes, we do, and we do offer that as a solution as well. It's generally not utilised because it's not as cost effective as using aluminium.
It is.
But yes, we do have the detailing. There's I work very closely with Ash and Lacey and their technical manager there, who has the most wealth of knowledge I've ever known for one single person.
We know
And
him
yes,
well. Yeah.
yes, you know who I mean, don't
I
you?
love this, yes.
Evalda, yes, I've got to give him a shout out because his wealth of knowledge is off the scale phenomenal. And yes, he supports fully. And we have the solutions, we have the design detailing and the understanding because Evaldus and his team have worked very, very hard with us as a brick manufacturer to supply that. And obviously we can offer that to architects and specifiers if they're looking at the Brick Slip system.
Okay, I just wanted to share my screen in a second. If you can just give me access, if that's okay. I wanted to give the audience of how you can play with these kind of systems very well. So I'm just going to share, if that's okay. If you can switch off sharing.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And I think I did share this project with yourself previously. What we've got is there you go. So I really like this detail here, which is just about to come now. There you go. So
Yes.
I really like it because what we've got is we have a brick slip facade, which is yet to be pointed. It's on site right now. And what we've got is different profiles in terms of in and out, a stone surround going through. And this was worked on with one of our really close clients, and which is ACMS, and APS is the team which got us on board. Really good people, they designed everything with regards to how the relief would come in. And you could play around with these bricks. It's just, there's such a big palette to play around. And on another facade of the same building, it looks so good because you've got glazed bricks and you're looking at different reliefs, and it just, the things that you could do.
The flexibility with a facade system is becoming phenomenal. And I think the more that we work together, so like I've talked about, collaborating with Ash and Lacey, the more we work, the more that architects bring us details that we think we've not thought of that. That's when we look into how do we provide a solution for this, and that's what we relish, is being able to provide a solution. And I remember working several years ago now with Evaldus, where we kept, because it was a relatively new system, we were being thrown detail after detail after detail that we'd not thought about, and it was magnificent to be able to come up with how, from the brick knowledge side and the technical steel metal side,
support,
how do we make this work? And that's the beauty of collaboration within ourselves as suppliers, but also with the architects and specifiers. So the more that we can have an opportunity to create bespoke, wonderful, geometrical, curved design buildings, the greater the UK landscape is going to become, because there's so much opportunity across all suppliers on what we can do with our systems now.
Completely. And the market is growing in terms of the requirements and the U values. So when you're going to recladding jobs now, the recladding, the jobs previously constructed had lesser U value requirements. So the installation zone was smaller, and now you want to fill that zone with more insulation with the same system, and these kind of systems allow those opportunities to reclad with the new regulation for U value thermal requirements. And you said there's the factories are increasing with the amount of turnover of bricks as well. Was there something? What's the amount you're targeting for the next year?
So I think the capacity for the Nostell Brick Slip Factory is up to 60 million bricks. So we're not targeting that straight away because it's a relatively new factory.
Yeah,
But up and running and full capacity, we're very confident that we can supply the market and be able to take the most opportunity to create the brick slips for a variety of systems that will be out there in the future markets.
wow,
Just to talk
good,
about as well,
brilliant.
overcladding. To
Yes.
be able to recreate a new building from an old building not only is sustainably much better
Mm,
for us as a as a construction industry. You're very well aware of our global impact in terms of carbon. So to be able to not demolish a building and overclad it and bring new beauty to it using a brick facade cladding system, it just adds endless opportunity to our existing stock as well as future building projects.
completely. And either you can replace what was there with a similar matching brick with this brick slip system, right? Or you can just make it new or with a different look completely, but still have a brick facade and that
Absolutely.
historical look that the building previously had. So
Yeah, it
that
lends
is
itself
brilliant.
beautifully to that. Yeah.
Completely. So I think at the moment, CladUp, the company I currently run with regards to with my team, we have about 60% of the projects we've got is brick slips, and we're using different kinds, different suppliers, and that's one of the reasons I approach Ibstock is, I only approach people who I think are leading in the field and also innovating with their products as well. So I saw those posts with regards to those, automated factories and everything. So I really want to visit one day.
You're more than
And
welcome.
yeah,
More
thank
than
you for the
welcome.
invitation. So yeah, thank you very much. Thanks for the insightful talk you've given, and hopefully the audience has learned a lot. Hopefully, all you've taken a lot of things. I've got a quick question from Piotr. I hope I've said the right name. The question is: the mech slip on Alurails is A1 certified?
Yes, it is A1 rated and certified. It's been fully tested at Warrington under EN 13501, and it's fully certified as an A1 tested
Exactly. And
system.
I remember you told me that there's a whole a change that Ibstock had to go through with regards to doing these certifications as well after the recent events, and you had to think about um,
So yes,
solutions rather than mechanical fixings, isn't it? Or other
yeah.
methods of fixing.
Originally, we were offering Nexus as a chemically bonded solution. So during COVID, the team that I work with, we looked at how we could make that into a fully mechanical solution because morally it was the right thing to do to make sure that what the products that we provide are safe, secure, and are not going to have an impact if there is another fire, an unfortunate fire in those high-rise or high-risk buildings that we have. So yeah, we worked very hard for that, and again, collaboration with our other suppliers on making sure that those systems are A1 rated or as a minimum A2S1D0 and meet those requirements is very, very important to us.
Thank you very much. I don't think we've got any more questions. I think because the presentation was so clear on what we can do,
Thank
I
you.
seriously believe that. But if anyone has any other questions, please reach out to the Ibstock team. They'll be happy to respond to the questions and help you out
Absolutely.
with your projects. Thank you very much for joining us. I'm just going to end the session if that's okay. And if anyone wants to this a webinar, podcast, whatever you want to call it will be online on LinkedIn, so you can go back and have a look at it. If you forgot to take some screenshots, don't worry. You can take those screenshots afterwards from the LinkedIn video. It will be there for your knowledge. We're sharing as Ibstock and Cloud Design and Facade Ideas. We're sharing this knowledge for free for the people to have a look. There's so that you can get back to it. I've got one question just come on, Ray. Do you want to
No
take it? Is that
problem.
okay?
Yeah, it's fine. Take
Okay,
it. Let's
all
see.
right.
I hope I can
So
answer it now.
Vishalakshi just asked the question. Vishalakshi is one of my team members in another company that we've got. And the question is, how does the design of brick slip influence the thermal performance? Or is that the insulation behind?
Yeah, I mean, when we're talking about brick cladding systems, yeah, we would be predominantly relying on the insulation to provide the thermal values for that. It does obviously add to it. It does depend on the system, but yes, I mean, predominantly with most external cladding systems, we would be relying on the insulation to
So,
comply with those U values
because
requirements.
it's a rain screen cavity and the cavity would be same temperature as the temperature outside. And
Yeah.
just to let the audience know, as CladUp and Facade Ideas, which is a part of CladUp, we do a lot of thermal calculations, SIVAL calculations, condensation risk analysis as well. So if you want to approach us, you're welcome, and we're happy to support your projects as well. All right. So thank you very much. Take care,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Will be great to see you on our next podcast, which is lined up for next month, and we've got a few for the next year as well. So it'll be great to see you back online, and you can always have a look at the podcast on webinars online on LinkedIn. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.